Welcome back to my channel. This is Ben of Your Heart's Happy Pill, where every little adventure can be your happy pill. Today, I am going to talk about a health-related concern that is so common among women, yet many don't pay attention to it because they think, or we think, that the symptoms they're experiencing or we are experiencing are nothing but normal, and more often than not, we put off treatment. This video isn't a typical happy pill video. This is instead a social awareness video that aims to help women take charge or be in charge of their bodies or what's happening inside their bodies, and the necessity to see an OB/GYN when they reach their reproductive years. You see, guys, I know I have a story that needs to be heard, but I'm a very private person, and I just don't want to divulge things like this to others. But I also believe that my story would help a lot of women suffering in silence. So today, I finally have the courage to share my story with you. This is after like ages thinking about whether or not to share this with you. I hope that through this, many lives will be transformed. Yes, I am going to talk about fibroids and my journey towards removing it or removing them. I don't really know how many they are in my stomach yet, because my doctor said she found one giant solid mass in my stomach. I can't say this is my journey towards healing yet, but I promise you I'm getting there. So guys, if you like what you are seeing, and if you like what I am sharing, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. Thank you. Now let's get serious and talk about fibroids. What are fibroids, or what are uterine fibroids? What are their symptoms? Where do they grow? What treatments are available? And many other things. Uterine fibroids are tumors that develop in the muscular wall of the uterus. They are called myomas and are most common kind of growths of the uterus. Many women might have one fibroid or several of them. They may be very small and remain to be small for a long time and may grow slowly over a number of years, or may grow suddenly and rapidly. I actually didn't know how slow or how rapid the growth of mine was, or the growth of mine is, since like many other women, I also didn't go visit an OB/GYN. Never, ever. Or the size can range from microscopic or pea size to the size of a grapefruit or watermelon, or even larger. So if you have uterine fibroids now, or if you are suffering from the symptoms, that's why you're here. You're not alone, guys. I'm one of them too. About 20% to 50% of women of reproductive age have fibroids or myomas or tumors, although not all are diagnosed. Some estimates even state that up to 80% of women will develop fibroids sometime in their reproductive or childbearing years. And most often than not, only 1/3 of these fibroids are large enough to be detected during a physical exam. This is the reason why I decided to share my story with you. 2 months ago, I went to see a doctor because I hadn't been well. I couldn't sleep at night, and no matter how dead tired I was during or the whole day, I would still be wide awake at night. It's been months that I had been suffering from insomnia, and I thought that it's because I was just too busy with work, or I was just too busy with my research-related projects and papers that my sleep pattern was affected. Yet one day it occurred to me that something was very, very wrong with me, and I couldn't figure out what is it all about. I didn't know what's happening. I just couldn't understand. So to the doctor's office I went. Mind you guys, since I came to Japan, I dreaded the day when I had to see a doctor alone. Why? Because I can't speak Japanese and my understanding of the Japanese language is so limited that in order for me to do away with stress, I would rather not see a doctor unless it's a matter of life and death situation. On that one fateful day of March, I went to see a doctor, and I never thought that it would be the day that my uterine fibroid will be discovered and my life will change. And since my only complaint was I couldn't sleep or I couldn't get enough sleep at night, so I was thinking that the doctor is just gonna give me sleeping pills for my insomnia, and that's all, nothing so serious. The doctor, who fortunately could speak enough English to interview and explain things to me, decided to conduct a physical exam and then proceeded to do blood tests and ultrasound. Then in less than an hour, I was called back to the doctor's office and I was told that I have severe anemia, or I am suffering from severe anemia, and that it's due to a very large tumor in my uterus. I had no idea how big was that. It was so huge that my doctor, who specializes in internal medicine, just advised me to see an OBGYN so that her diagnosis or her preliminary diagnosis will be confirmed and I could be treated as soon as possible, because my hemoglobin level was so low, or was already very low, and my platelet count was high. And when I say my hemoglobin level was very low, I mean I only have, I think, 6.5 grams per deciliter, way lower than the normal, which is 12 to 15.5 grams per deciliter for women. Although I was given medicines as a preliminary treatment to my severe anemia and sleeping pills for my insomnia, my doctor made me understand that if my fibroid will not be removed, I shall suffer more life-threatening complications, just like, or more than what I've been. What's worst was I was told that there would be a possibility that I would undergo an open or a major open surgery to remove the tumor in my uterus. I was like, oh boy, like I was freaking out. It was just so hard to take in. I didn't have any idea that the bulge that I thought was just an extra fat around my midsection was something else. You see, I have been on a diet since time immemorial, and I hadn't been successful. Simply because that bulge in my stomach was the tumor. So I went home feeling downtrodden and confused. I was freaking out, guys, really freaking out. When I arrived home, I did my research on fibroids and anemia. Everything I want to know about fibroids. I just couldn't imagine myself undergoing a major surgery alone in a foreign land in the middle of a pandemic. I was hoping to find answers to the tons of questions that I have had in my mind, to the questions that I never thought I would be asking. I was hoping for answers that would at least appease my worries and fears. Information in different websites, including YouTube videos, were incredibly helpful to me, but those informations are really general. And I couldn't find specific information about my case. Anyway, guys, let me first share this very important information with you before I continue my story. First, why should we women know about fibroids? What causes fibroids? Where do they grow? What are their symptoms? And what available treatments are there for uterine fibroids? Women should know that fibroids are common in women in their 40s and early 50s, although there are also many cases that younger women have them. No one really knows what causes fibroid, though researchers think that hormone levels in the genetics play a big role. And when I say genetics, I'm referring to genetic tendency. Like when your mom has it or when your sister has it, there is also a tendency that you will have it too. Most fibroids grow in the wall of the uterus. They can appear in different locations, like inside the uterus wall. That's what they call the intramural fibroid. On the inner surface, the submucosal fibroid, that's what I have. On the outer surface, the subserosal fibroid. And sometimes it's attached to the inside of the uterus by a stem-like structure. That's pedunculated submucosal fibroid. Or sometimes it is also attached to the outside of the uterus by a stem-like structure that is pedunculated subserosal fibroid. They are called pedunculated fibroids because they look like mushrooms and they grow on stalks. And last but not least, inside the cervix, or that's what they call the cervical fibroid. So what are the symptoms? Some women who have fibroids have no symptoms or have only mild symptoms. Other women have more severe or even disruptive symptoms. Most common symptoms are heavy and prolonged periods, abnormal bleeding between periods, frequent urination, pain during intercourse or during sex, pelvic pain caused by the tumor that presses on the pelvic organs, the low back pain, enlargement of the uterus or the lower abdomen. I should have known this a long time ago. Firm mass. I have this one, and I even asked the doctor during the physical exam if the mass was normal, and it wasn't, of course. I am one lucky woman because I haven't experienced most of these symptoms. I have normal menstrual periods. I never thought that blood clots, many of them actually, especially during my heaviest days, are already symptoms that there's something wrong going inside me. I thought it was just normal. I can only remember abnormal bleeding between periods, like I had one episode of it, but I didn't pay much attention to it at all because it was gone after a day or two and it wasn't heavy, so I didn't worry at all. Last year, I started experiencing frequent urination, especially at night. I hate it so much because I had to go to the toilet thrice or 4 times that it disturbed my sleeping pattern. Then I realized that the bulge in my stomach, which I thought was just an extra fat again, was the UFO that invaded my uterine cavity. And I didn't know that until recently. Second, when I researched about anemia or severe anemia caused by fibroids, I found out that I have been suffering from most of the symptoms, if not all, for so many years now, like around 10 years. Symptoms of fatigue, weakness, pale skin, fast or irregular heartbeat, shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness, cognitive problems, cold hands and feet, headaches. Oh yeah, I have constant feeling of exhaustion, even if I'm not overworked. I have difficulty climbing stairs. Actually, I hate climbing stairs even until now because I have chest pains and palpitations. I had many episodes of vertigo-like dizziness, and at one point, I experienced fainting on board a train. I think that was 2 years ago. I was alone at that time, and I didn't know how I was able to get off at the right station. I had also experienced like waking up and the world around me is spinning. I couldn't move. If I moved even a little bit, I would puke. Don't you know, guys, that I never paid attention to all those symptoms? Like, I went to see a doctor for episodes of vertigo-like dizziness, but I never complained anything not related to it. All I complained was feelings of dizziness, and that's all. Maybe because I was just so afraid to reveal whatever I was feeling. So that's all about it. But after reading all about this, gracious goodness, I was like caught off guard, guys. And yeah, I decided to take the doctor's advice seriously. So my research went on to the different treatments for uterine fibroids. And this is good news, guys, because uterine fibroids can be treated and that they are not malignant. But of course, no one for sure knows whether or not it's malignant until the tumor itself is examined. So treatment considerations may include invasive or the traditional surgical procedures, non-invasive procedures, and those minimally invasive procedures. So procedures like hysterectomy, which is considered by doctors as permanent solution for uterine fibroids. But mind you, guys, if you choose this treatment, you have to think it over and over again, because this surgical procedure is removing of the entire uterus, and usually doctors advise this to patients who have large fibroids and those with no desire to get pregnant or those near premenopausal stage. There is also abdominal myomectomy, and there is MRI guided focused ultrasound surgery, or the FUS, the radiofrequency ablation, the laparoscopic or robotic myomectomy, endometrial ablation, uterine artery embolization, or the UAE, and then the gonadotropin releasing hormone agents, or the GnRHA therapy, the anti-hormonal medicines. You can always ask your doctor for the best way to treat your fibroids or your symptoms. You see, treatment of fibroids depend on your symptoms, on the size and the location of the fibroids. Guys, if you have pelvic pain that doesn't go away, or overly heavy, prolonged, and painful periods, or spotting or bleeding between periods, or difficulty emptying your bladder, or you have frequent urination or unexplained low red blood cell count or anemia, better see your doctor right away. Stay tuned or watch out for my next video, guys. This is the sequel to my uterine fibroid story, where I am going to share with you what happened after I visited my OBGYN's clinic, and then the additional tests that I have undergone, and the treatment that is best for my uterine fibroid. So that's all about it for now, guys. I'm going to see you in my next video. And stay safe, please. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Ben of your Heart's Happy Pill, where every little adventure can be your happy pill. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys. Love you all. Stay safe.